Again, thank you for attending today. And today I'm going to cover conducting market research. So at the beginning of this month, the federal government entered into our fourth quarter of fiscal year 2025. And October 1st will be the first day of the first quarter for fiscal year 2026. Why am I telling you this? Well, that's because there are some businesses, I'm pretty sure, that are on a call today that do not know what the federal government's fiscal years are. I know everybody's fiscal years, depending on the federal government and businesses, may be different. So therefore, this is a part of you conducting your market research. Number one, attending today, and then gaining the information that I'll be providing throughout this session. So it's essential for you to be prepared for when those opportunities are released. And when it happens at the end of the fiscal year or the beginning, or even sometimes in the middle, what you'll find out today will help you to be able to, number one, identify why market research is important. Also, identify what's in VA's market. The need for competitive analysis. Even when you pull the information, where is it located? So some free, useful tools. Also, when you get to those tools, what exactly will you be looking for? Then once you get the information, how can you analyze that data? As well as those next steps for when you leave from this session today. And then I'll also provide you with some resources because you are not alone. I've been saying this for the past 4 years I've been here. Whether it's the OSDBU office or any of the other resources that are out there for businesses, you are not alone. So first I'll start off by speaking about why you should conduct market research. By investing in market research, because it is an investment, whether it's an investment of you paying someone else to conduct it for you and then provide you with the information, or an investment of your own time or money, if you have someone that's on your staff that is actually conducting the market research. It's an investment, and it can help you increase your chances of success. An example of that is if it's between you and your competitor, and one of our procurement decision makers are trying to identify, which business will be capable of providing this service. If you're not sure about what exactly VA is looking for within that section or that region, what their exact need is, what they've mentioned in that solicitation that they're having problems with, or in the networking events they may have, whatever their barriers may be, but your competition has, they've basically set themselves up for success to be able to communicate to that buyer ahead of time or at that moment what exactly their needs are and how their business fits in with helping them to accomplish whatever it is that they need. Also, it provides the insights necessary to understand the VA's needs. It also aids you, the small business owner, or whatever your position has been designated at the company, whomever is on the call today, in navigating procurement processes, also assessing the competitive landscape, also developing effective marketing and sales strategies, and ultimately also mitigating risk to maximize your return on investment. Now let's take a step back for a second and forget about what VA needs. What does the VA customer need? Some of the participants here are VA customers. So you already have an idea of being a VA customer, what you feel like you need, what you feel like may be lacking from what the VA is already providing, and what you feel like you have established your business services or goods for to be able to help VA to not only provide whatever type of service it is to you, but then also the rest of the veteran community. Think about what the customer needs. And then the buyer is going to potentially need that as well. And when I say potentially, when it comes to the Department of Veteran Affairs, majority of the time, it is what they need. whether it's under any of the 3 main business lines or even in the staffing offices that we have. So I'm not going to go over a majority of the information that I already provided throughout some of the trainings that I conduct, but I am going to do a brief overview. And then towards the end of this session, I'm going to show you based off of 3 NAICS codes that I've identified. And I like to kind of switch it up throughout the sessions that I host. We already know about construction, information technology, different healthcare services or tools that VA solicits for. So I kind of went outside of the box to look at some of the other questions that I usually receive during these sessions or in one-on-ones that I host. But at the beginning of the session, I'm just going to do a brief overview for those businesses that have attended today that have never attended any of the other sessions that we have. But at the end, I will discuss our on-demand, where you can go and view some of our previously recorded sessions. So the Veteran Health Administration, the Veterans Benefits Administration, and the National Cemetery Administration are the 3 main business lines of the VA. Each is dedicated to serving veterans in its own unique way. And so for VHA, it provides a comprehensive healthcare service to veterans, which focuses on that quality medical care, the mental health support, and the rehabilitation services. And that's just to name a few as I'm going through today. The Veteran Benefits Administration is responsible for administering a variety of benefit programs, which include the disability compensation, pension benefits, and those educational assistance. And then the NCA, the National Cemetery Administration, honors our veterans through the management of the national cemeteries and memorials, offering dignified burial options and preserving the memories of those who served. So together, these organizations, they work collaboratively to enhance the overall well-being of veterans and their families. So as you conduct your market research and target the VA with providing whatever service and good that your business provides, you want to make sure that it's definitely geared towards providing whatever type of service is needed underneath these 3 main business lines. But again, as I mentioned before, we do have staff offices, and I've mentioned in a previous session, we do have staff offices where there are needs there as well, construction, information technology, and so forth. The VA utilizes various contracting vehicles to procure goods and services efficiently and effectively. And these vehicles are designed to streamline the acquisition process, ensuring that veterans receive the best possible care and support. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these today because I actually go through them throughout some of the sessions that I've hosted. But it is great information as you are conducting your market research to understand how it's VA buying. There are a lot of times where I have businesses that come to me and state, I'm putting in, I'm submitting my proposals, I'm reaching out and trying to connect with COs, program managers, and that's contracting officers for those who are not aware, for COs. Or I'm just, attending some of the networking events and I just can't seem to get in the door. I don't understand why I'm not being awarded a contract. And there are some times where those contracts are on a contracting vehicle, either a GWAC or IDIQ. And because the business is not on there, that may be the reason why you're not receiving any traction or you're experiencing some of the barriers. So as I mentioned before, I'm not going to, completely go through all of the GWACs, but I do have some information here which will be provided when you receive it. I want to say around Thursday. But this is from fiscal year 23. I'm currently working on getting the most recent data for you. But these are GWACs and IDIQs that VA uses for various different, services or goods. Federal supply schedule from the previous slide that you saw. Healthcare needs for anyone that's familiar with T4NG, T4NG2, which I believe is still being protested, if I'm not mistaken. If it's not, I apologize. But that's for information technology. As you can see on this slide, VHA healthcare furniture. VA purchases a variety of different services and goods. So essentially, as we go throughout this presentation, you'll see how you can go about and find it. Because of course, when it comes to conducting market research, it's going to take more than 30 to 40 minutes, as I have right now, to brief this information out to you. It's going to take more than a few hours. Oftentimes it's days of work, or sometimes businesses that are having to do it on their own is days of work, or if you have multiple individuals that are capable of being able to conduct the market research together, you could probably lessen the time frame. Competitive analysis is part of market research. Competitive analysis serves as a critical tool in crafting effective strategies, and not only to enhance the market share, but also to drive those long-term success and sustainability in a competitive environment. By understanding what your competitors offer, as well as their strengths and weaknesses, you can identify effective strategies to use. It can also be used to identify potential gaps in the market that can be used to tailor your goods or your services for the Department of Veteran Affairs. I see that I have a question in the Q&A. How do you identify the TAM, SAM, and SUM of your market? Can you please spell that out for me so that I can make sure I understand what you're requesting? Thank you, Jason. What should you look for when you're conducting your market research? This slide identifies a few areas you should be looking at when determining if the agency is a potential client and if a business is a competitor or a potential partner. Because oftentimes you're going to start off as your competitor. And then in whatever type of environment you're in, you'll identify whether or not that competitor could be a potential partner, so that you both can be able to get awarded on a contract. Some of the things when you're looking at, for example, on the government side, looking at the Department of Veteran Affairs, is the location. Where is VA doing business? Even though VA does business in the United States and some of our US territories, that doesn't mean that the need is always there, depending on the type of service or good that you provide. There may be a need, and I always like to use the East Coast versus the West Coast here, but there may be a need more so for furniture on the West Coast in Vision 21 than there is on the East Coast in Florida, which I believe is either Vision 7 or Vision 8, one or the other. Also, spending. How much is VA spending for that service? Let's just say that VA has only spent within the last 2 years $20,000, whereas another agency maybe is spending about $1 million. When you're conducting your market research, especially as a veteran-owned business, you don't want to put all of your eggs into one basket, meaning you don't want to miss out on any opportunities that are out there just because you're solely targeting one federal agency. Not saying I don't want you to look at the VA for any opportunities, but if, for example, VA is only soliciting for 20,000, oh, I'm sorry, not soliciting, VA is only spending 20,000 in the past, let's just say 2 years, but Health and Human Services spent, over $1 million the last 2 years, there may be a higher chance of an opportunity for you, the business owner there at the Health and Human Services. Not saying don't put in for that opportunity that may exist at the Department of Veteran Affairs, but looking at the spending is something else that you should be watching out for when you're conducting your market research. Also, NAICS codes. Sometimes businesses ask, well, what exactly is, VA soliciting for? Do VA purchase what I'm selling? When you conduct your market research, that's one of the things that you'll be able to identify. If you actually go on the census website, you'll be able to identify your NAICS codes, because you can use keywords to put in, and then it'll generate the potential NAICS code. You have to check and make sure that it's the NAICS code that aligns with your business, services, or goods, but that's how you can be able to identify that. And then you can use some of the other tools to then look to see, if VA is actually purchasing for that service or good, and how much, like I mentioned before, for spending, and where, like I mentioned, for location. When it comes to your competitors, the location, size, and customers also matter. Are they really a competitor if they're not even doing business with the Department of Veteran Affairs? Maybe they are a potential partner. They may not be doing business with the Department of Veteran Affairs, but they have some things that your business doesn't have, and your business has some things that their business doesn't have. And the Department of Veteran Affairs is looking for all the things that your businesses have combined together. So identifying those customers, identifying those locations and sizes can also help you to identify competitors and potential teammates. Jason said, how can you predict future spending for these agencies to get a jump ahead of the competition? Well, that's some of the things that I'm discussing today, Jason. It's not just pulling the data to predict it, right? Because even if, you were to look at the data of the spending, there's always a change. And then what happens is when there's a change, you got to know how to pivot. You can go to, and I'll be mentioning in a few and showing you guys with USA Spending, SAM, looking at all of the data, but also follow along with the executives. Oftentimes they're communicating where the next, where they're going to pivot to, if there is even a pivot. For example, if there was an increase in the need of, or as a matter of fact, I'll use the PAC Act as an example. In the PAC Act, when it came to the PAC Act, you saw it in the news all the time. In the news, whether it was local news or VA news, or you heard any of the executives mentioning it, and they would tell you what the next steps would be. They would tell you what exactly they're looking at. Oftentimes, when it came to procurement, they would discuss, whatever the barriers may have been to get to that point, to be able to assist the veterans as it pertained to the PAC Act. And as a business owner, if you were capable of being able to provide that service or good, whatever their need was, that was an opportunity for you to be able to conduct additional market research to identify where your business will fit in, to assist the VA in whatever that need was, which essentially in the example that I used was the PAC Act. So if they needed additional personnel to push everything through, if you provided staffing, then you will be looking at the VA as a potential customer. I hope that answers your question, Jason. Utilizing market research tools. This doesn't include all of the free market research tools out there. I just like to use some of the information because we had a market research series about, I want to say, a year and a half ago. And so these are some of the websites that we actually, aside from FPDS, that we use to conduct market research. I actually still use these when I'm conducting one-on-ones with small businesses to help them identify whether or not VA is a potential client, and if it is, where should they be looking at doing business with VA. USA Spending, for those that are familiar with USA Spending, you can go on there and you can pull, I believe the data is most recent up to 3 months, but you can go on there, you can actually filter for a lot of different results. And I'll be showing you that briefly in a few minutes. But SAM.gov has a data bank. We don't necessarily just have to use SAM.gov. You can actually look at current active opportunities or notice types. You can look at the ones that are no longer active to help you to identify, okay, where exactly is there a need? And not just a need with the VA, but a need in whatever region it may be. Because we have VISNs, Veteran Integrated Service Networks, or use the word used interchangeably is the NCOs, Network Contracting Offices. So business is on the healthcare side, NCOs is on the acquisition procurement side. Thank you, Amy. I was wondering why I saw something popping up while I was trying to read the Q&A. So some of these tools, GSA eLibrary, FPDS, you can actually pull various different contracts, but you can only go into one at a time. But I really like it, and I'll show you in a second, because you can search by, for example, VA's code is 3600, and then you can search by the next code. And then if you wanted to conduct some competitive analysis, you can actually look to see what businesses, you could sort it, and then you can look to see what businesses have been awarded contracts so far. within, from July 2025 on downward, however you wanted to sort it. And then our VA contracting opportunities. Opportunities are not necessarily going to be on the contracting opportunities and then end up on SAM, especially when it comes to micro purchases. But if there is a change, say for example, they thought they were going to have funding and then they didn't have any funding, and so now you saw it on the contracting opportunities, but now you no longer see it on the contracting opportunities or on SAM.gov. There could be a variety of different reasons why it has not appeared or been posted on SAM.gov. But contracting opportunities is a great market research tool to identify where there is a need. And even if, say, for example, there's no funding right now, say it was looking like they were going to post it for October, the first quarter of fiscal year 26. But maybe internally they said, we're going to hold off for a second and then we'll go ahead and post it the third quarter or the fourth quarter. Even for that split second or a few days that you've seen that opportunity, jot it down, because that tells you that, okay, there is a need that is there. And then, okay, let me proceed with identifying from using some other free tools and resources that are out there, what other needs were, posted from this region, or like I said before, this VISN or this NCO or this hospital or whatever, main business line it may have been. Now, next steps when you leave from here. In order to effectively implement your findings, it is crucial to develop a comprehensive action plan. You want to start out by outlining the specific steps you will take and ensuring that each step is clearly defined to facilitate your execution. And then additionally, you want to assign those responsibilities to your team and set realistic goals. This will help you to stay organized and focused. And once you've established, put your findings into action. And then you can actively implement the strategies and monitor your progress closely. Also, you want to allow for flexibility to make those adjustments as needed, because like I said before, you may need to pivot. And then also, you want to do an ongoing evaluation, which will help you to identify any potential challenges. And remember that market research is an ongoing process. So you want to continuously monitor your target market, keep a close eye on competitors and industry trends. And you also, by staying informed, you can also position your business to pivot, again, as I said before, as needed. So for this presentation, I wanted to keep it short with this, the slides, because I actually wanted to do some real life demos. Now, today, I said I'm going to focus on janitorial services and landscaping services, and also security guards and patrol services. But I still have a little bit over 200 people on the call today, so we'll kind of do it like Wheel of Fortune. Whomever places in the chat or the Q&A your NAICS code, I will go ahead and conduct market research today. So I see 1611430492110. Give me 1 second. I'm going to actually pull up and start sharing my screen. While I'm pulling this up, do you see any questions in the Q&A or chat? Okay, I guess she's muted. Because I'm multitasking here, I'm going to ask, can you guys see my screen? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So first I'm going to start off by going to usaspending.gov. And I did write down, I saw that we had 611-430 and then 511. I pulled 611-430 from the chat, and then I pulled 511-210 from the Q&A. So one of the things that I want to do is go to, there we go. Go to Census website, excuse me, and type in 611-430. This is what I was saying before, where you can actually use a keyword if you don't have a NAICS code. This is for professional and management development training. And so for 511-210, or let me make sure. Did I read that correctly, Amy? I think when I'm sharing my screen, I can't really see the Q&A anymore.
Yes, it said Q&A 511-210, but that may have been in a 2017 NAICS code. But we can move to the next one.
Okay, what was the next one?
339113.
Okay, surgical appliance and supplies manufacturing. And so I'm not going to cover 611-430. And the reason I'm not going to cover it is because it's a well-known NAICS code that all federal agencies used before. There were some changes recently with the solicitation for 611-430. And so therefore you may not see as many opportunities even as I'm conducting the market research. But yeah, usually I've used in the past 611-430. So I don't, whoever posted that NAICS code, I don't want you to feel like I'm ignoring you, but I have covered that in the past. So I will be looking at 511-210 and then 339-113. So first, I'm just going to go over to USA Spending. For those of you who are already familiar with using USA Spending, this is going to be really quick. So for those of you who are not, like I was mentioning before on USA Spending, you have the option for the filters to filter for all of this different information when you're looking at doing business with the Department of Veteran Affairs. So one of the things that I want to do, as I mentioned before about pivoting, I want to look at, usually I'd say go back about 3 years. I think that was Jason who posted in the Q&A and said, you know, when you're looking at the data, can you actually tell, you know, what the next fiscal year, let's just say fiscal year 26 is going to look like? And that's why I said yes and no. Let's just say before 2020, which is when COVID happened, you would see an increase or a decline if you were looking at 2016, 17, and so forth. But as we're in 2025, when you go back and you're looking at old data or that historical data, you want to account for any changes that happen. And yes, that includes, as you will continue to hear me say, there were some pivots. So that means that you may have seen an increase in your NAICS code all the way up into 2019, and then a significant decrease. But knowing that reason for that decrease, what you then want to do is look at, okay, after 2020, was there a need? Because after after significant events, oftentimes you will identify whether that need still exists or whether or not that agency decided to pivot and focus on other areas. And so for fiscal year 2020, if you were to plug in your NAICS code and look at, let's just say from 17 all the way up into 20, say 23, right? Give them about 2 years to recover afterwards. If you see that after 2020 there was a decline, then that means that, okay, they've identified that there probably wasn't a need there. But let me look at some of the other agencies. So let me go ahead and go into it and look at fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 24 right now. And then that's specifically for the time period. And then I'm going to go all the way down to NAICS code. There's also the option for product service codes. I'm just going to type in 511210. Now I submitted it because for right now, I'm just starting off. I just want to see what agencies are actually purchasing the services within since fiscal year 24, have been purchasing my product, which is software. So I see that Department of Defense, which majority of the time you will see, Department of Defense is number one, but then I also see Department of Veteran Affairs 1.26 billion. Now, let me just look and see, because we are in, as I mentioned earlier, the fourth quarter. So let me go ahead and submit. Let me just look at fiscal year 25. For, as I mentioned before, this is probably about less than 3 months worth of data. I'm sorry, not less than 3 months. This is probably fiscal year 1, 2, and a little bit of 3 in here. So let me just see for fiscal year 25, how has, each agency, how's the purchasing been? So I see that for Department of Veteran Affairs, and let me go back over here, apologies. Contract IDVs. Okay, I see the Department of Veteran Affairs, 611, a little over $611 million. So there is a need that's there. Now with me identifying whether or not there's a need, USA Spending has various different reports that you can pull. This is an easy way, I find, for a visual person to be able to look and search for this information, a somewhat easy way, depending on how big your screen is. As you can probably see, everything doesn't fit within my screen, so I have to scroll down and then scroll over. But you do have the option on USA Spending to download a report. If you are really good at Excel, then this will be no problem for you. You can just click on here and decide which report you want to download, whether it's prime awards or sub awards. And it'll download, and it will have all of the information that's included on here, visually appealing, but it'll have everything consolidated into, depending on how you download the report, into an Excel spreadsheet. If you are not, or you don't feel like you're experienced as much with Excel, that's fine too. I'm not going to pull the report because it's a lot of data and it'll take a long time. But if you need any assistance outside of my office, which I'll mention later on, there are other advisors or representatives that can be able to assist you as well. But my office is also here to assist you if you would like for us to conduct, like, for example, a brief market research in a one-on-one session with you, and kind of walk through, if you already have the report, right? Walk through what exactly you're looking at, because the report isn't going to have the names like how you see it here, prime award, total outlays for those individuals that are not experienced with Excel. It's going to have, it's going to probably say total underscore outlays underscore whatever, something else that's there. So we could be able to assist in that department. Scrolling down though, and I'm just looking to see, I see Department of Veteran Affairs. So let me go back to agency. And now I'm just going to type in veterans so that I can select Department of Veteran Affairs and then select submit. Now, in this prime award results, what I see is obligations. So these are potentially my competitors or potentially partners, right? Because, some of the things that you want to look at is the revenue, the size, the business size, the NAICS codes they're using, which I already have the NAICS codes input here. If they're doing business with VA, yes, they are. So they are a potential competitor if we're on the same level or not. If we're not on the same level, then, eventually maybe I could work my way up to being on their level and then that be my competitor. Or again, maybe I can partner with them. This is where you can pull some of that information from. Also, if we scroll down and look at the results, it says awarding agency, but if you actually click on it, It gives you the option to search by NAICS codes and product service codes. Sometimes as you're conducting your market research, you may have a NAICS code. Like for example, I think it was, I believe it was 492110 when I plugged in for 2022. It didn't, no, it was 511210. When I plugged in for 2022, it didn't appear, but it did appear for 2017. Let's just say you have an outdated NAICS code that is no longer appearing, right, in census, but you want to be able to identify whether or not VA is doing business, it was soliciting for the type of service or product you provide. There's also a section here that you can type in a keyword, building, or of course you want to be a little bit more specific than that, but distribution of medicine or syringes. Just use an example there, but again, be specific. You can then search for it and then come here to this section, search for Department of Veteran Affairs as well. Like you see here, fiscal year 25, Department of Veteran Affairs, but instead of the NAICS code, you'll see a keyword. And then you can scroll down here and use this report to search by the NAICS code. Then it'll tell you every single NAICS code. And the only reason you see one appearing here is because I'm already using a NAICS code. But then you'll be able to see the NAICS code appearing here, all the various different type of NAICS codes and the product service codes. And that can help you to identify what NAICS codes VA is soliciting for, and make sure that if it aligns with your business services or goods, you're adding that to your capability. So scrolling down just a little bit more, it gives you some results over the time, but I want to focus on this results by geography. Remember, I mentioned when you're conducting your market research, you want to also look to identify whether or not the agency is actually purchasing for your services. So you'll see the lighter the green color, for those that are not colorblind, but if you are colorblind, I'm circling the areas that are lighter than green. So that means VA is spending less money for this service or this product in this region here. So North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Maine. So that means when you're targeting Department of Veteran Affairs to do business, say for example, here in Texas, we see that it's dark green. And over here, it says more than 450 million. That means if I'm looking to target the Department of Veteran Affairs and I'm looking for a higher chance of an opportunity, especially if I'm a veteran-owned or a service-disabled veteran-owned business, I'm going to be looking for what type of opportunities are coming out of Texas if I can provide that product out of Texas, in Texas, or if not, what are some things that I can do to position my business to basically be where the VA is purchasing its services or goods? Oops, I typed that in wrong. Do I have any questions in the chat, Amy? I mean, in the Q&A?
Yeah, there is one question about for companies targeting R&D contracts like SBIR funding, OTAs, where the NAICS codes for these type of contract vehicles come up here as well. Let me answer this question real quick. Yes, it should. Especially at USSspending.gov, it compiles contract as well as grant funding. So depending upon how agencies, disperses SBIR funding, some of the agencies do it through contracts, other agencies through grants, but it should come up here. And then the next codes, not really sure about grants money, but if it is a contract, yes, NAICS codes will come up. And for your information, I would certainly use USSspending.gov. You can use the SBIR as a keyword. And also, I think Wendy is going to show the FPDS. One of the FPDS data fields is also notes, SBIR, funding information as well. So you should be able to look for that information through there too.
Thank you, Amy. When you use FPDS and you go here, you'll have all of the links included in the presentation. But I like to remove this where it says Google like search. So just delete that and then hit enter on your keyboard. And it's going to pull up this screen. It kind of reminds me of like back in the 80s or 90s. Very simple with just logging in the data that you're looking for. But I select advanced search. And right now I'm going to be searching for 3391113. So when I search, it says search within results or new search. So I'm just going to do a new search and then select add. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is VA's code. So instead of me typing in, yes, that's correct, Shauna, the acquisitiongateway.gov. So instead of me typing in the agency name and then, something popping up saying, oh, it's not true, should I put VA, should I put Department of Veteran Affairs? The agency code is 3600. So now I'm going to select search. And what you'll find is it says on here over 7 million. Yeah, I had to look at that number again. Over 7 million results with me just putting in Department of Veteran Affairs. But I know it's Department of Veteran Affairs because I see outside of this contract here, contracting agency says Department of Veteran Affairs, Department of Veteran Affairs. If you're someone that's like me who has to double, triple, quadruple check themselves, you can always just scroll down and make sure that you put in the correct NAICS code. So now, I'm sorry, not correct NAICS code, the correct agency code, excuse me. And again, it's 3600 as you can see here for Department of Veteran Affairs. Now I'm just going to select advanced search again. And again, you can search within the results or you can do a new search. I don't want to do a new search because I'm still searching for the NAICS code 339113. So I'm just going to add to search within, and then I'm going to search for the field. And as you can see, just like with USA Spending, there are a variety of different options to filter to search for, to filter and pull the results that you're looking for. And one of the things that I like about FPDS, excuse me, is that it's in alphabetical order. So that means that if I'm looking for NAICS code, I can just scroll all the way down to where the ends would be. And it has NAICS and it has description. So now I'm just going to place the NAICS code and select search. And you notice how the results are getting shorter and shorter. We were in 7 million, a little over 7 million. Now we're in 600, a little over 600,000. But what you can see is, okay, so now I'm searching, it'll show here at the top, 3600 and the NAICS code, but I still want to shorten these results. When I'm looking at these results, I'm seeing 2017, 2016, 2001. I don't want that data. I want most recent data. What you can do over here where it says sort, in the sorting order on the right-hand side, you can scroll down and look for, I want to sort by date signed. Now, when I sort by date signed, I see 2025, most recent information. Something else that you can also do, let's just say that now I'm not looking at the agency, I'm looking for my competitors. Who is actually being awarded contracts with Department of Veteran Affairs right now? And I want to be able to find out a little bit more information on this business so that then I can be able to go back and, throughout my market research and identify what is so special or what is so unique about my competitor and how can I position myself to compete with them, or how can I position myself to partner with them, especially if there are opportunities that may exist that me as a small business owner, and let's just say I'm a small business owner just starting out using 339113, I can be able, they may be able to assist me with, let's just say, in increasing opportunities to showcase your past performance. Or there may be other, areas that your business may be able to, learn from this business, more so like an informal mentor protege type of relationship. What are they? So if I wanted to say, for example, look at this business, I'm just going to click on it. On the right-hand side, when it says search criteria, because you can see it from here up at the top, but you can also see it from here. Agency code, NAICS code, and now the legal business name of this potential competitor or partner. I don't know. Maybe I've been looking for this business. Now I see that we're in order with the date starting from 2025 to the latest. Now I see that we've gone from 7 million to 600, a little over 600,000 to now just a little over 9,000. And all of these are results for this business. Now I can click X and I can come back and I can say, you know what, I actually want to view one of these contracts. This is the contract that I want to look at. On FPDS, that's one of the, I don't want to call it a downside, but one of the things with FPDS is you go in and you're looking at one by one, as opposed to, like I mentioned before, if you were on SAM or if you were on USA Spending, you could be able to download an Excel spreadsheet and be able to review all of that data at one time. So now I'm looking at this one contract. I have, you know, the dates here. I have the VA user that updated, you know, or did any modifications here. I have the award information. I have, and let's scroll down to the bottom, the entity information, their address. Specifically, let's talk about the business category, socioeconomic classifications. If there are any businesses that are on the call today, say, for example, you are not a veteran-owned business. You are not a service-disabled veteran-owned business. One of the things you want to look at is VA is vets first, but it's not vet only. So how many veteran-owned businesses are actually, you know, out there that can provide that service or product? And again, this is for non-veteran-owned businesses. It's if there's an opportunity for you to be able to do business with VA, then perfect. But if you identify as you're conducting your market research that there is a lot of service-disabled veteran-owned businesses or veteran-owned businesses that are doing business in this field or in this industry and that are actually doing business, currently doing business with VA or targeting VA to do business with VA, that may help you to be able to identify how you are going to align your services with VA. Is VA the best fit for your business? Again, you never want to discredit yourself or discount yourself from any type of opportunities, but being able to conduct some market research and generate some type of data to identify whether or not you have a 5% chance, a 50% chance, a 70% chance. You know, of course, as I mentioned before, there are often times where we may, you know, as business owners have to pivot. And in that case, the percentages may increase, the percentages may decrease, but having some number to be able to assist you in identifying, is this worth, again, your return on investment to pursue opportunities with this agency? And I'm not just speaking, as I'm speaking right now about VA, I'm talking about all agencies, all federal agencies, state agencies, local agencies. Even when it comes to your customers, when you're conducting market, individual customers, when you're conducting market research, you want to look at all of that and apply it basically across the board. It's not going to be, well, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna do this for feds and I'm gonna do this for state. You may be using different sites. You may be using different tools to access that information, but essentially the information that you need to review, the information that you need to get is going to typically be the same. Do I have any pending questions, Amy?
No, you don't.
Okay. Anything in the chat?
I'm looking at chat, the last one. No, I don't see it here.
Okay, thank you. So I see for I think we have about 5 minutes left. So I do want to show you with SAM. When you go to SAM and you select search, there's been quite a few changes within SAM, so I was kind of hesitant on using it until I saw these changes. You know, the changes were updated and some of the fields that we used to be able to use a few months back are back. But if you click on contracting, search and then contracting, it'll actually pull up. And let me just go back for a second so you can see. Yeah, it actually pulls up now for you. So you don't, let me go back. All domains. There we go. Before you click on contracting from all domains, you'll see that what used to be there is not there anymore. It just says federal organization. But if you click on contracting, And then you come back, you see all the different fields that was there before. So what I want to search for is Department of Veteran Affairs. And then I also want to search for the NAICS code, which the NAICS code will fall underneath the product service code. So once you open it up, the NAICS code will be there. And I want to search for 339113. And I'm actually looking at active opportunities, right? Or active notice types. And the reason I like to say the notice type is because here, when you click on notice type, you have the option to then search for sources sought, solicitations, any of that, award notice. But I want to search specifically for solicitations because I've determined that my business is ready to do business with VA. So now I'm searching and I see a variety of different opportunities. This is one of the things that you have to look out for, or notice types that you have to look out for, is that it's not always going to be in order, like how I had to sort on FPDS. So what you can do is go into date and then look for the next 3 months, right? If I said we're in the fourth quarter, so the next 3 months is going to take us into the first quarter of fiscal year 26. So now I see that my results are 8. And I see that for this NAICS code, 339113, I see that there are opportunities that are here that are actually closing in a few days, maybe 2 days, maybe 5 days. So for that individual that requested to identify opportunities, here it is for you to be able to go into SAM and do the same thing that I did. Now, let's just say inactive. Let's just say I didn't see anything for active. I want to look at inactive. And one of the things you want to make sure is to just go back and select anytime so that it pulls back the data. But you can go through here and search. Again, you can pull a report if you want to pull this data, but you can also just look to kind of skim and see, where were these opportunities coming out of? I see that this came out of NCO. Remember me mentioning Network Contract Office, NCO 10. If you use the VISN map, VISN map, if you just put it in any search engine, and of course go to the VA website, it'll pull up the map and you'll see what state or what NCO this opportunity is coming out of. That information is also mentioned here when you open up the solicitation. Whatever type of opportunities, all of that is posted here. And again, you can then begin to start plotting to see, where your next steps are going to be as you target the Department of Veteran Affairs as a potential client, if you're not already on the call, if you're not already doing business with the VA. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I see we have like 1 minute left. Can you still see my screen, Amy, for the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I do want to conclude with adding in the resources. You, as I mentioned before, and I always mention this to anybody that interacts with me, you are not alone in pulling this information. You are not alone in conducting market research or even in just doing business with VA or any agencies. Doesn't matter if it's federal or not. You have the Apex accelerators, the small business development centers, the SCORE, women business centers. For those veterans that are on the call today, the Veteran Business Outreach Center and the State Chamber of Commerce. There are a few other resources that I did not mention today, but you have them. You also have the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization Offices, specifically for today, Department of Veteran Affairs OSDBU office. And even though our small business liaisons are not a part of the OSDBU office, you have them as well. So as you are navigating, identifying, number one, if VA is a potential client, and then number two, how to get in with doing business with VA, how to basically assess your business and its quote unquote procurement readiness. We are here to assist. Let me go to the next slide. My office contact information is here. It's OSDBU Stratcom, strategic for short, communications for short. If you would like for us to schedule a one-on-one meeting, you can definitely reach out. This is our phone number, so you can reach out to that as well. We are always, I want to say within 48 hours, we're responding to the mailbox. So we rotate that. Before I conclude, I briefly went over how to conduct market research, but we actually have, I want to say, about a 7 to 8 part series on our YouTube channel that covers how to conduct market research, how to use some of those other sites that I did not get a chance to cover today, like GSA Library, GSA Advantage, being one of those sources that VA uses when they are, for example, soliciting for, products, or I believe services is on GSA Advantage, but I'm more familiar with products, micro purchasing. All that information is included in that 8-part series that we have. This is more so just a refresher and to be able to answer any questions that, the participants have today. So I do want to thank you for attending. I know that we're about 2 minutes past 3, which I started about 2 minutes past 2. So I will look at the Q&A to see if there were any questions that I missed. I'll have to look into that for you, Michelle, if you're still on a call, the NAICS code for veteran employment. I'll reach out to get you that information. Thank you so much, Amy, for answering a good majority of the questions. Because I was like, wow, I don't have any questions. So if there are no more questions, because I'm looking at the Q&A. Okay, perfect. Then I will go ahead and end this session. Again, if you have any questions or you need any additional assistance, please let me know by reaching out to our group mailbox. Let me go back for a second. By reaching out to our group mailbox, and I'll be able to reach out and schedule you and assist. Thank you very much. Have a good day.